'82, I was 17, my old man was 55. If you do the math between the two of us, that's 72 years alive. An eternity, so it seemed to me. How could anything live that long? Now I say my folks were only 84 the year that they passed on. For a little while it seems you got time to choose your dreams. Pretty soon you look around and you see 100 years ain't what it used to be. And my grandpa Roy, when he was a boy in 1904, he was taught by men who fought in the actual Civil War. And only 8 decades passed and my high school class put the tassels on the other side. Started on our way full of naivete on the great American ride. The months and years slide past, each more quickly than the last. Pretty soon you look around and you'll see 100 years ain't what it used to be. Oh, Johnny!
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, Johnny Heidt. Oh, yeah.
He did the guitar face.
Ibuprofen's under buy again in my online shopping cart. Every week I learn something else I should be doing for my heart. If I use the wrong pillow, I might have trouble getting out of bed. My hair grows in my ears and nose now more than on my head. As a kid, to me, ancient history was something like World War I. But I arrived close to that time and this year as I sing this song. And I'm starting to find I can wrap my mind around life is brief and dear. I can hardly believe my baby girl's turned 26 this year. For a little while it seems you got time to choose your dreams. Pretty soon you look around and you'll see everybody 100 years ain't what it used to be. Before you know it, you're 63, making plans for Medicare A and B. You look around yourself and you see 100 years ain't what it used to be.
Can you guys hear my chair squeaking?
Fratelloni's Hardware.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
Good. I should spray it with deep creep, huh?
You are good, my man.
Fratelloni's. We ready?
We are ready. You are good.
Oh, Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Stores brings your Garage Logic podcast number 1511, March 27th, 2025. 75 degrees, the record high on this day. That was in 1946, and it was 5 degrees, not 5 below. The record cold for this day was just 5 degrees in 1921, and 2 ice outs. Minnetonka went out on this day in 1981 and 2017. I have no ice outs for this day for White Bear.
But if we had them, Joe, they would have been brought to you by Professional Turf.
Okay.
Oh, see?
That's great.
Hail the flashlight king.
And now, from the mayor's office above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic with Chris Reavers manning Technology Corner, Kenny Olson from the Krabby Coffee Shop, John Heidt in the newsroom, and of course, the rookie. Here is your flashlight king, fireworks commissioner, and the keeper of common sense, your mayor, Joe Souchere.
Just some emails to clean up old business.
Let's do that right out of the chute.
Well, the mink, you'll recall yesterday, I was struggling for that phrase to describe George Floyd Square.
Yes.
It's malignant idleness.
Okay.
I don't know what I said, but I didn't say malignant idleness. And you'll recall yesterday I discovered, too, that if we pinch our ears, apparently we can kickstart the brain.
Yeah, hit reset.
And the mink writes that in 7th grade he memorized the Declaration of Independence, but he forgot it and hasn't thought of it since. But yesterday he gave his ear a real good pinch, and the old Declaration came roaring back.
Wow.
It's a miracle, he said.
Impressive.
That's what the mink said. It was a miracle.
Okay.
See?
C'est un miracle.
And now we were talking about Walls not going after, withholding any funding for private education.
Right?
And I got a note from Melissa who writes, I'm a town council member. I grew up listening to you on the radio. Now I have kids of my own who listen with me
make you feel
most
old?
days. No, it doesn't, Matt.
Okay.
I hope you will continue to report on Walls' proposal to strip services from non-public kids. I've been ringing the bell locally and have a few points to share. This funding reimburses districts for services provided to all students within their physical boundaries. Removing these services from non-public kids mean 2 of my 3 kids will not be able to board the bus that goes by our house. This will create barriers for families like mine in accessing non-public education. Number 2, Minnesota committed to providing infrastructure for essential services to all students in a district. Stripping this away is not a monetary savings, it's a core value shift. It's about $1 a kid in reimbursement, while the cost to educate is $13K a kid in public school. Number 3, stripping this funding means my district needs to decide if they will take on the financial cost or eliminate the service. Just this discussion is pitting neighbor against neighbor. Walls had some line about being one person's neighborliness. Apparently, this doesn't include us. And finally, I would confidently assume non-public school families are by and large conservative families who didn't vote for him. This is a heartless political attack using our kids as pawns. Most in our schools are working with and middle class and first-generation immigrants, families living paycheck to paycheck. I can attest that our kids are there due to sacrifice, not high incomes. Lots of hand-me-down clothes and not much name-brand clothes here. Thank you, Melissa.
Yeah.
All right. And I've had numerous reports that the University of St. Thomas is flying the American flag upside down
I
today.
heard that as well.
Why?
I don't know. I asked Gabe about it. Gabe reported that to me. That's a sign of distress. What are they distressed about?
Well, they're officially a failed academy. Might that be reflected in the upside down flag?
Yes, but I don't know if there was an event that has happened recently that would cause that drastic of a action.
And one final email, a note on that George Floyd Square where there is malignant idleness.
Malignant idleness.
Joe, we had wheelchair friends who lived in a group house at 37th in Chicago for 30 years. After George Floyd weekend, they were continually broken into and robbed. Their attendants were afraid to show up for work. We had to move them out, but we also had to get permission from the gatekeepers to get the moving van past the barricades. And they told us to be out of there before nightfall because they couldn't guarantee our safety. The house was then taken over by squatters and has since been demolished. No one in the city cared one bit about the residents and businesses in the barricaded area. That's unfortunately, I believe every word of that
I do too, yeah.
email. Every word. And can I say a personal thing that bothers me?
Your show.
Every time there's news of an illness, measles is the current example.
Right.
The news gatherers have become fascinated with showing us the cell structures of various illnesses as though seen under a microscope.
Yes.
I don't like that.
You don't care what
I don't
measles
wanna
looks
see
like.
that.
You don't care what measles look like.
Spiro things and colorful cells and all of which constitutes this horrible disease. But they're all thrilled to show you this likeness of the illness itself, as though that's helpful.
They're not beakers.
How is that helpful?
What is that when they're in when the germs are in the bowl? Petri dish?
Yeah,
Oh.
and
I don't like it either.
stop doing that.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I don't need to see
What's
that.
the point?
What
Or the
bothers
cells
me
dividing.
is when the stuff on the little glass pane there are moving around.
Yes,
Yeah,
That's
that's just
disturbing.
horrific.
I hate science.
It's a horror show.
Yeah, I don't
And
like
you're
it
not,
either.
there's absolutely no rationale for that whatsoever. What, it's not as though
Why
you could
would the-
look at somebody and say, oh, I see your cell structure is shining
Look
through
at that.
there.
Your amoeba's dividing
You've
right
got
now.
the measles.
Oh, my gosh.
Stop doing that.
Okay. Off the docket.
There. I see how easy that was
Do you
to get
suppose
off my
there's
chest.
Professors and scientists that see that on the news and they go, well, that's the wrong one. That's
Oh,
not
you
for
know.
measles.
They've
And
got the wrong illness
You know they
there.
call in, they email. What you showed last night at 7. That was the sickle cell anemia, not the amoeba.
Wrong amoeba.
Yes.
So they're GLers then.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Sorry.
They're FYIers. They're FYIers.
Say Congress is getting around to a fight that I've had for 50 years. And that is, well, not even a fight. I've always wondered why we're paying for NPR. Now, I don't believe, do we pay for all of it? No, because
They
do
still beg for money.
They beg for money,
Yeah.
but they have plenty of money coming in from taxpayers. And I've always been opposed to that because they've been my competition.
The government is paying for your competition.
I mean, if
with
I
the
had Joe's
utmost-
Tire Shop on University Avenue, and down the block comes the Minnesota Tire Shop, I'm at a disadvantage.
That's not fair. They shouldn't be in that
So I
business.
don't like it. And do I watch some of their stuff? Sure. And if the market calls for it, that kind of programming would certainly exist. So John and I were talking before the show, and he looked up, what was the rationale for creating it in the first place? And what was it, John, about 1971 or 72?
1967.
Oh,
is when it was
67.
an LBJ thing.
And it was, well, read it, John.
Hang on, I deleted it after you.
Well, but you're so
Savvy.
facile.
Savvy
On
Good
the
word.
computer that I'm sure you can regather it
trying.
quickly.
NPR was created in 1970 by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting to provide an independent, nonprofit source of news and programming to the American public, as mandated by the Public Broadcasting Act of 1967.
Right. Well, but it was to do what? It was to provide cultural.
To be a source of information of consequence that would create enlightened participants in society.
Okay, but it's purely biased. It's purely left. I don't even think that can be in the realm of hyperbole. It's obviously a leftist organization.
Yeah.
I don't have any. What is the taxpayer's obligation to fund that? Any more than the taxpayer wouldn't have an obligation to fund a right-leaning organization that's on the airwaves.
Why hasn't that ever happened, by the way?
I don't know. Because
Why do they always have to be lefties?
but the current head of NPR, apparently she's been getting grilled, is Catherine Maher. And she's in the hot seat now, and she's been testifying before Congress. And Christopher Rufo, remember him? He was one of the American Experiments visiting speakers last fall.
Okay.
And he has published exclusive reports on Maher's background. She, as a U.S.-backed political actor in the Middle East and North Africa, her role in censoring information as CEO of Wikipedia, and her troubling social media history, which reveals lopsided left-wing ideological bias and support for removing political opposition from digital platforms. But what Rufo did is he prepared 10 questions that she might be asked. Number one, according to a report in City Journal, you work for the U.S. government-supported NGOs that advance regime change campaigns in the Middle East and North Africa. A former cabinet minister in the Tunisian transitional government publicly claimed that you secretly worked with the CIA. When you were active in that region, did you ever work for, speak with, or advocate in parallel with anyone in the American intelligence services? Number two, in 2020, you wrote that America is addicted to white supremacy and expressed support for race-based reparations. Do you still believe that America is addicted to white supremacy? And do you still support wealth transfers from one race to another? Why am I paying for this woman?
I don't want to.
In 2016, you chastised Hillary Clinton for using the words boy and girl, arguing that her words were erasing language for non-binary people. Can you tell us what a non-binary person is? And can you define the word woman for us? In 2021, when describing your work as CEO of Wikipedia during a presentation for the Atlantic Council, you stated that the First Amendment was the number one challenge for suppressing bad information on the internet. Do you still believe that the First Amendment is a problem and that censoring dissent is the best method of eliminating bad information? Number 5, in that same speech, you stated that you took a very active approach to disinformation and misinformation during the COVID pandemic and the 2020 election. You further explained that you censored information through conversations with government. With which governments did you consult about these issues, and specifically, what information did Wikipedia censor? Number 6, in 2020, when President Trump was banned from all major social media platforms, you wrote, "Must be satisfying to deplatform fascists. Even more satisfying, not platforming them in the first place." Do you still believe that banning the political opposition is consistent with the First Amendment and more broadly a culture of free speech? Number 7, that same year you called Donald Trump a deranged, racist sociopath. Do you still hold this opinion? In your estimation, no, let me pause right there. I don't care if she holds that opinion, but why do I have to pay for it? You can hold that opinion all day long, lady, and find your own work. Why am I paying for it? That same year you called Donald Trump a deranged, racist sociopath. Do you still hold this opinion? In your estimation, how many Republicans are deranged, racist sociopaths? And why should conservative taxpayers continue to subsidize NPR when it is led by someone with such obvious contempt for them? Number 8, in an interview you stated that as CEO of Wikipedia, you abandoned a free and open internet as the organization's mission because those principles recapitulated a white male westernized construct. That's the first time I read this today. What have I been telling you what the mystery wants? They want to completely deconstruct this country. They want to eliminate white patriarchy, and they think the founding of the country was flawed. It sounds to me like she's a lieutenant colonel in that army.
I would add break down conventionalism.
That's it, baby. In an interview, you stated free and open internet is the organization's mission because those principles recapitulated a white, male, westernized construct and did not end up living into the intentionality of what openness can be. What the hell is she blabbering about? What is a white, male, westernized construct, and do you still oppose a free and open internet? Number 9, we have identified dozens of left-wing reporters who work at NPR. Can you name a single conservative reporter who works in your newsroom? Why should right-leaning Americans continue to subsidize a network that promotes a uniformly left-wing worldview? I wouldn't have asked the question that way. I would have said, why should any American continue to subsidize a network that promotes a uniformly left-wing worldview? And finally, number 10, on Twitter you have written that you were so done with late-stage capitalism, a phrase derived from Marxist economic theory, and suggested that you would support efforts to go punch Nazis. I don't know what that means. Do you still oppose the, because I'll punch a Nazi. Maybe he means, maybe he's referring to what she believes that Republicans in America are Nazis. I don't know.
Okay.
Do you still oppose the system of American capitalism? And do you still support physically harming those whom you deem politically intolerable? Those are 10 great questions. I don't want to pay for this, and I'm glad they're holding these hearings. It's the least of our problems financially. I'm sure it's a drop in the bucket compared to what we're spending, but there's no reason on God's green earth that we're paying for this, and there never has been. This is not a new war for me. I've told you a million times. NPR, which has a wonderful newsroom. I don't have a building.
And you're privately owned?
The St. Paul Pioneer Press no longer hasn't had a building. We don't have any headquarters.
Sign of the Times?
Nothing.
Okay.
Yes.
Star Tribune.
And the NPR workers go to every day on an intersection that light rail had to be accommodated for them by being built on a hydraulic platform. Like it had shock absorbers in case they were interviewing a Bulgarian lesbian poet. You wanted to be able to hear it.
Think of that every time I go over that pad.
This is outrageous. This is among the many things we shouldn't be paying for. I grant you, it's not a big financial deal.
Over the years, yes, it has. They got the latest equipment. They got, think about that.
What have I just said?
Yeah.
I'm competing with their latest equipment.
I concur.
I've been in their newsroom.
I never have.
It's
Was it a job interview?
top drawer.
Job interview?
No, it wasn't.
They
a
let
job
you
interview.
in?
Yeah.
You've never been in there.
He was promptly escorted out.
I
He said
was.
he had a
No way
really
they
hot
let you
story.
in.
Yes, I was, Kenny.
Yes.
I was interviewed on some show, and I don't remember what it was.
Did they put a sack over your head and maybe a gag in your
Yeah, a
mouth?
little burlap sack.
Plug your ears so you couldn't
I
tell
was
where you
interviewed
were?
for some purpose. I don't recall what it was.
If you were
now
interviewed,
I really would like to know.
I thought you said they didn't ever have a conservative viewpoint, but you were interviewed?
Yeah.
They have no conservative reporters.
Maybe that was during
I see.
that was during his leftist years.
Well, John, you can go ahead and pay for them at your own desire.
I don't want to pay for. I like them, but I don't. Plus, the other thing I don't understand is, and I'm trying to find it here, but the part of the government spending that is part of their budget is very small. So what are they so worried about? NPR, I mean.
Oh, yeah, they beg for money and do very well with their begging.
Yeah.
And they have commercials, despite the fact they say they don't.
Right.
It's all a ruse. I don't want to pay for it. And again, what a Pyrrhic victory. It's nothing. It's $5. I don't know what percent of my income tax goes to NPR. Maybe it's 29 cents. I don't care. That's not the point. Why are you funding this clearly one-sided operation?
Are Powder Milk Biscuits still a big sponsor of that show?
No. Garrison took that with him, I believe.
Okay, smart.
Unless, no, I don't think so, because he still calls his show the Prairie Home Companion, doesn't he?
Making a little comeback, and I just saw he's got about 8 or 9 touring dates.
So I believe that he must own the copyright for that.
Okay, it would have been smart.
Unlike Garage Logic, which
Yeah,
I
way
don't
to give it away. Way to give it away, Brian.
I don't own.
Yep, you take it.
Here's
To
more.
back your position up, you might remember, I think it was probably a year ago now, that a senior NPR, National Public Radio editor, resigned because he wrote something in the free press, not on public radio, but in the free press, saying that NPR had an absence of viewpoint diversity.
I remember
Basi-
that specifically. Yes, I
and
do.
he got so much heat
John, I
that
bet
he
can
had,
find it.
it's Yuri Berliner is
Yeah,
his name.
yes.
Yeah. And so he had to step down just out of pressure.
Isn't that something?
He was a senior business editor there.
Okay, the American taxpayer should not have to fund that.
Right.
Do it on your own. I'll still watch some of your stuff. They got stuff that intrigues me every now and then.
Bridge stuff.
Huh?
Bridge
I
stuff.
love a good bridge documentary. They don't do enough of them.
No, not in your mind. Eastman,
But I do
Yuri
not
Berliner.
I do not contribute to them.
You have never cut him a check.
I've never cut them a check. I have other charities in mind. They'd be the last on my list.
I think one night there was a.
You were hammered.
They were a drive. There was a drive, and I was all bleep faced.
Get
and
that
I think
checkbook.
I pledged, but I don't think I ever came through with it. I think there's still maybe a $200 vacancy in my.
You
next
just
to my
wanted
name.
to get on the air?
Yeah.
Were you on the air
Yes,
with him?
on the air. It must
it's
have been
the
about
rookie.
maybe 25 years ago. And hey, I love you guys. I like that. Who was the two news guys way back when?
I don't know.
There were two news guys.
Hey, Matt, I got to do something.
Okay, I'll think about it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, you can just be quiet for a
Never
while.
mind your touching story that brings humanity to the
Yeah,
program, Matthew.
He was bringing no humanity to the
Okay,
story.
all right.
Believe
It's
me.
two
Okay.
guys,
Believe
and
me.
they did
Here we go.
point
Get back
counterpoint.
on track here. Show number 1511.
Wasn't
Here we go.
almanac.
Who was the chick that did interviews? She still might.
That's what
name
she
is
likes to be
Kathy
referred to as.
Wurzer.
chick.
Not
She's a
Wurzer.
good friend of ours.
NPR,
National?
female
Oh,
interviewer. She often had very good interviews. I remember a long
You
interview.
watched her for the interviews?
A long interview with Neil Young. I remember doing. No, it was on radio. NPR.
I listen to the long hair station
Who am I thinking
all
of?
the time. I always listen to classical music.
Did John find your Yuri story?
Yeah, I already shut it. What do you want to know?
Well, no, Kenny was right. That was what I can't remember what article he wrote that so incensed.
I
his
told
superior-
you.
Yeah.
He wrote an article, an essay in the Free Press.
Yeah, but you didn't tell me what it was about.
I told you it was about the absence of viewpoint diversity.
Yeah, that's what you told me. You're right. You told me about that.
That's where I heard it.
That's where I heard it. I heard it from
Matthew.
Can you just
what
pinch
were you
your
saying,
ears?
Matthew?
Can you just
you were
pinch your
telling a
ears?
good story about getting drunk and calling somebody.
Yeah, what was it? Almanac. I forget what the name of the news show with the two guys was.
Hey, we use it every day, or at least I do, the Center of the American Experiment website. I want you to consider it. It's fascinating. There's lots of talk right now about DEI, but the real battle in Minnesota, for example, is radical ethnic studies. Well, that's among our many battles, and the American Experiment fights them all. Walz and his crew at the legislature have put into place a radical form of ethnic studies to go along with their new social studies standards, and you probably aren't going to like it when you read about it, and you're not going to read about it in any conventional news gathering source in the Twin Cities, particularly NPR. This is not about seeing yourself in the curriculum and studying things like reading, writing, and arithmetic. The Center of the American Experiment brings in speakers like Christopher Rufo. They hold seminars. They do wonderful, wonderful work. And it doesn't cost you a dime to go to their website, centeroftheamericanexperiment.org. As I say, I check it every morning because it's going to fill in the blanks that the local newspapers are not providing the information. Centeroftheamericanexperiment.org.
82, I was 17, my old man was 55. If you do the math between the two of us, that's 72 years of life. An eternity, so it seemed to me. How could anything live that long? Now I say my folks were only 84 the year that they passed on. For a little while it seems you got time to choose your dreams. Pretty soon you look around and you see 100 years ain't what it used to be. And my grandpa Roy, when he was a boy in 1904, he was taught by men who fought in the actual Civil War. And only 8 decades passed and my high school.
Here's a man who spends hours in hardware stores, sifting through the nuts and bolts of life. Joe Souchere.
Actually,
Yes.
the men and women of ProTurf are working full shifts right now. The irrigation team's out waking up systems. The landscape teams, oh my goodness, they're digging, planing, planting, and the lawn care techs. They're all busy doing free in-person lawn evaluations right now for new clients because there's no rest when crabgrass and weeds are planning their evil return to your yard. Those weeds can be stopped, and at the same time, you'll have the best lawn on the block. Simply go with our friends at professionalturf.com. Schedule that free in-person lawn care analysis and estimate today. A ProTurf service tech, they're going to come out, they're going to walk your lawn, analyze everything, then come up with a custom slow-release fertilizer and weed control program. It's environmentally safe. It's guaranteed for superior results, and it's a beautiful, healthy lawn, thick and luscious, free of crabgrass, dandelions, and broadleaf weeds. Now, when you go to professionalturf.com, I want you to surf around a little bit. Look around, check out the website, and see some of their amazing landscape work. The work they do is absolutely amazing. You've been hearing us talk about them for years on GL. Make this year the year you finally step up your lawn care game. Schedule your free lawn care estimate right now. ProfessionalTurf.com.
Speaking of the AmericanExperiment.org, I read this on the site this morning. There is legislation now proposed by House member Cedric Frazier and State Senator Ron Latz, both DFLers, to eliminate the fine a motorist would receive for passing a school bus with its stop arm down.
Wait.
Now, how many times a year do you turn on the television news and you're going to get the video of an impatient motorist speeding around a school bus, sometimes dangerously,
Yes.
because it results in
Very
injury?
close cases, yes.
Let's see. When a school bus is stopped on a street or highway and displays an extended stop signal arm and flashing red lights, the driver of a vehicle approaching the bus shall stop and wait 20 feet away from the bus. Okay, I adhere to that.
Got it. Yeah.
Right.
Well, why wouldn't you?
The vehicle's driver should not move until the school bus stop arm is retracted and the red lights are no longer flashing. Got it? I got it.
Very simple.
Mm-hmm. No driver may pass or attempt to pass a school bus in a motor vehicle on the right-hand passenger door side of the bus when the school bus is displaying the pre-warning flashing amber signals. I'm unaware of that, but it would never have occurred to me to pass a bus on the right side of the bus.
On the right,
yeah.
correct? Because
No
they would usually be over to the curb.
No passing or attempting to pass a school bus in a motor vehicle when a school child is outside of the bus and on the street or highway adjacent to the sidewalk. A misdemeanor citation for a stop arm violation will run at least $500 according to Minnesota law. Those who attempt to pass a school bus could be found guilty of a gross misdemeanor and subjected to more serious penalties. But now you come upon this. Bills in both the Minnesota House File 2736, and the Senate Senate File 2613, would amend that stop arm law. Sponsored by Representative Cedric Frazier, DFL in the House, and Senator Ron Latz, DFL in the Senate. These bills would eliminate the $500 fine for passing a stopped school bus.
That's ridiculous.
And then this is written for the center by John Phelan, who writes, it is hard to fathom what the thought processes behind these bills are. Are Minnesota's kids too safe already? Do they need fewer protections?
Yeah, I don't understand the motivation.
In the last 6 years, police across Minnesota have written nearly 9,000 tickets for stop arm violations. Last winter in Otsego, 3 students were seriously injured at their bus stop when they were hit by the driver of a pickup truck. The State Patrol says a survey of 3,600 bus drivers this year shows 703 of them reported stop arm violations just one day. Well, so I called. I want to know what possibly could be the rationale.
Okay.
Can anyone come up with one?
No.
Staff?
So they're removing the $500 fee.
Well, that's tantamount to saying ignore the stop sign and just go around the bus. You're no longer going to get fined. So I called. I started with Cedric Frazier's office, and I get the aide, a young woman who I said, "Hi, this is my. I'd like to talk with Cedric Frazier. I need your name." Okay, I give her my name. Well, what's this about? I said school bus legislation, and I gave her my number. And she said, "Okay, what's the message?" I said, "I gave you the message." "Well, no more." I said, "I want to know the rationale for his proposed school bus legislation." She said, "Okay, I need your emailing address." Okay, I gave her gljoe@garagelogic.com. "No, I want your home address. We like to have home addresses." And I said, "Well, I don't like that you have to have a home address because by now I'm losing it.
Right.
I'm losing it. I should be practicing my inner calm, but I'm losing it
but she's
at this
playing
point
with you.
because she's good at what she does.
Yeah.
She's gonna
She's
not
a
let you.
gatekeeper.
She's not going to let you get anywhere.
Yeah.
And this went on for more time than I would have wished. But she insisted on, "You don't need my email address. You want I'm at my place of work. I'm not even sure what the address is. What are we? 3415
on the St. Paul line 55114.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't good enough. She wanted home. I said, "Well, look, now I finally played the card.
Okay.
I finally played the card."
Listen here.
I said, "You mean to tell me?"
Let's go.
No, I didn't say that. I said, "Well, if he doesn't recognize my name, I will not anticipate a return call." And she said, "Okay." And I just hung up. I said goodbye and hung up. I don't anticipate a return call. He is heavily protected by whoever this officious young little woman is.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find the number for Latz, so the hell with him too. So I don't know. I couldn't answer it for you. I wanted to.
I'm trying to.
What the hell is the rationale
I don't
for
know.
not doing that?
It's
isn't
not
any.
fiduciary. It's not fiduciary. It's $500. That's not overly burdensome.
I have no more to offer except that's a proposed bill. I would have to guess that maybe it won't develop any legs at all. It won't go anywhere.
Well, I'm reading the wordage, the verbiage, if you will, of both the Senate file and the House file, and they're both identical. They say the same thing, and what's been crossed out with no reason is the person is guilty of a misdemeanor, and then crossed out punishable by a fine of not less than $500. Now, when I first searched this, when you first started this conversation, I entered something into Google, and maybe, John, you can
Look it up.
Back me up here. And I came across a bunch of stories dated early February saying that a new bill was going to be introduced to the Senate to raise the $500 fine to $750 and sometimes $900.
Somewhat to back Kenny's story, the stories I've seen are saying they want to remove that $500 fine so that if the judge wants to, he can make it $750 or $900
Yeah.
or $2,000 if he wants.
Well,
But it doesn't say that on either one of the House,
Right.
House or Senate file. It doesn't say that.
Why wouldn't they put that in plain sight then? If they
well,
wanted to
that
potentially raise it?
maybe what we're dealing with here is how the sausage is made. It seems to me kind of preposterous that they would go about it this way. But in order to set the table for the law that would establish a higher fine, maybe they have to, by law, get rid of the lower fine.
That would be my uneducated guess.
Yeah, but
I'm
then
not,
make that clear.
Right.
Right.
Right. That's what I don't get.
Because again, as we stated, there is no reason to.
As much as even considering that they're wacky Democrats,
Yeah.
I really doubt that they would create such a bill unless it had some other motive behind it, such as setting the table for raising the fine. I mean, Cedric Frazier and Ron Latz aren't in the business of harming children at the school bus stop.
Right. I think they're pro safe children.
Yeah.
I don't even know them, but that's my guess.
All right. Well, anyway, good luck to anybody that tries to talk to Cedric, the entertainer,
Yeah.
because you ain't getting anywhere.
Legitimate. Mm-hmm. The only reason I said legitimate was just because my voice is so great today.
I've been wrestling with something my whole life, and I still think that I was in the right. When I was a kid, a teenager, a school bus stopped in front of me on the highway. I was on my motorcycle. I went down into the ditch, into the field, past the bus, back into the ditch, back up onto the road, and kept going. I got in a lot of trouble for that.
Did they know it was you?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
You
Everybody
were
in the bus.
entertaining everybody on the bus.
But
Got it.
the kids at no point were going to go out into that field for any reason. And I was safe, and they were safe, and everybody was safe. And I still got in a lot of trouble.
Well,
fine.
I really don't know what to tell you, Kenny.
Tell me, Kenny, you were right, and you shouldn't be carrying around this guilt your entire life.
I think you're crazy.
I'd like to tell you that, Kenny, but I think you're a moron.
I don't think that's what he was looking for.
Well,
especially, Kenny, there's a little tip for you.
you're not wrong. In this
Especially if you realize
yeah,
that everyone for miles around
Yeah, they
knew
know.
who it was.
here comes Dum-Dum.
Here he goes again.
Into the
Purple
ditch.
helmet. Purple helmet.
Out into the field.
For no reason whatsoever except that he can.
Back into the ditch, back up onto the road, and kept going.
Yeah. I can't excuse that.
Did you have a rush of, what would you call it?
Adrenaline?
Adrenaline rush, yeah.
It was more ego, more
Okay,
ego than
okay.
adrenaline.
Got it.
I might have pulled a little wheelie and given him the finger at the same time.
What was the girl's name you were trying to impress? What did she look like? Was she a, big gal?
Anyway,
All I'm hearing is bing diddling 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 diddling
Yeah,
as
right,
Kenny's
right.
pulling into the ditch.
Why don't we take a time out and first I'm going to tell you about Sioux Falls.
Are you?
Well, I am. We're getting ready for John's news.
Look at
But
that picture. I love that.
Yeah, there's a great video up now of Sioux Falls. A lot of construction underway. It's the state, South Dakota's largest city, approaching 300,000 people. But most importantly, if you're looking to move your business, expand your business, start a new business, you might want to consider Sioux Falls because of low business costs and a high quality of life. No state, corporate, or personal income tax, no inheritance tax, and no limits to what your business can achieve. Very tax-friendly, hardworking, most popular city to move to according to the top10.com, and 50 best places to live for families according to Fortune magazine and your very own U.S. Census Bureau. A government agency said it's the fastest growing Midwest metro. You know, when these metros start up now, like they do, you can do it right.
Yeah.
You know, because they've seen all the mistakes elsewhere.
Planning.
And entrepreneurs are more than welcome. If you are considering doing business in Sioux Falls, find out much more at Sioux Falls Development. That's one word, SiouxFallsDevelopment.com.
end of the world as we know it, and he feels fine. Joe Souchere.
This bumper music courtesy of the three-time Gopher State News Chumley Award.
Salem Broadcasting.
Ross Chastain.
News Hawk Award.
Whatever the hell your last name is,
The News
Ross
Hawk.
Bernstein. What am I doing here, Ross?
Why don't you do seafoam in a world of bad gas?
Deep creep is what we're going to talk about today, Ross. It loosens rusty parts. It cleans, it protects metal, it lubricates, and it resists evaporation and extreme heat. And it's available everywhere fine automotive chemicals are sold, from your local Knack Hardware all the way up to the big retailers. Deep creep, and now you probably realize this, GLers, it's replaced all the many subpar products in the chemical cabinet in my shop. I'm such a believer that we now have Deep Creep cans everywhere. Here on Jackass Ranch, I've got it in the house, garage, shop, the cylinder shed, the regular shed, the truck, the plow truck, the roommate's truck. We've got this stuff everywhere here on the farm. It works on everything, and it does it better than any other product on the market. Stock in a supply of Deep Creep before you do anything else today. I mean, get to the store right now. You can find it wherever fine automotive chemicals are sold. Another fine product from Seafoam. It's called Deep Creep.
Here's John Heidt.
Thank you, Joe. This news update brought to you by North American Banking Company. Let's start with a sports note because today is a very important day. It is opening day in Major League Baseball, of course, and the Twins kick off their 2025 season playing in St. Louis. Just hours before the first pitch, MLB, which is producing and distributing Twins games, announced deals with DirecTV, Xfinity Comcast, Spectrum, Midco, and other providers. There's still a whole lot of other services that, as of now, will not have the games. For fans who do not have cable or satellite or whose provider doesn't carry the Twins broadcasts, as of now, the team is available to stream blackout free for the first time via twins.tv. Monthly subscriptions $19.99 or an entire season for $99.99. What I still haven't figured out from all of this, if you have DirecTV,
I do.
will that make you, do you have to pay extra?
I already do pay extra to get that tier of sports channels.
And that will just go on the sports channel tier as is, and you can watch it.
Right.
And based on what I've just heard you say, John, because I have Comcast,
Yes,
I should be able to go home and turn on the game.
that's correct. And if you want, I can check for you later because there's a long list of channels. I can
I would love to know the
Is that
channel.
the fan one? The fan
I have
fuel
no
or
idea, Matt. Don't interrupt, Matt.
The one with the Wilder on.
Actually,
Yes,
I don't
it's the
know.
same one.
if you have
It is.
DirecTV, it's a Wilder on 668, and I believe the Twins are going to be on 669. So right there together.
Yeah. So
That
anyway,
explains all the St. Louis red at the airport this morning.
Yeah. That game, by the way, starts. Well, it's not a home game, Brooke.
No, they're
Oh,
flying
you say
to
they're
St.
flying
Louis.
out. I got you to St. Louis. Yeah, that's a 3:05 start, by the way, for the Twins and Cardinals in St. Louis. All right, now in news, first an update on a story we talked about earlier, and this, I don't mean to editorialize, but this seems unlikely to me. The University of St. Thomas says an American flag that was flying incorrectly was a mistake made by a security contractor who no longer works with the
Fail.
university. You buying that?
It's hard to make that mistake, although I suppose it's plausible.
A contractor, though, you think well, anyway.
You don't
In a
even have to read. I mean, it's to see which way it goes.
You know what the ray of hope is on Positive Thursday?
What?
That so many people caught it and voiced their opinion.
In a statement from the university, St. Thomas says early Wednesday morning the American flag outside its Minneapolis campus was seen flying upside down by St. Thomas public safety officer. And I don't want to dampen your enthusiasm, Rook, but on my Facebook page there was a picture of that with people with the other view who thought it was, very good.
Oh, they were very happy. They were pleased about
Yeah,
that?
it's you get your 50-50 thing going.
Gotcha.
Safety officer reportedly corrected the issue and notified a third-party provider. And according to the university, the flag had been mistakenly hung incorrectly by the contractor. That contractor, according to the university, no longer works with St. Thomas. St. Thomas said in a statement the university sincerely apologizes for this mistake.
It wasn't even fully raised. It was about 3/4 of the way up.
Was that contractor an immigrant?
Oh,
I don't know.
maybe he honestly didn't know, he or she.
Which way it flew.
Well, then you're really
Well, then we have a bad training process.
well. Then
you know?
you're concluding that this was his first day on the job.
Right.
Very strange.
I'm not his defense lawyer here. Don't go after me.
No.
I'm just throwing stuff out.
A strange story from Otter Tail County. A sixth grade teacher is facing criminal charges after allegedly standing on a student's back during a lockdown drill, injuring the child. Court records show 47-year-old Jason Lowell Rogers of Underwood was charged earlier this month in Otter Tail County Court with one count of malicious punishment of a child. The complaint says the officers were called to the Underwood school February 10th on the report of an assault. The victim, a student in Rogers' class, told law enforcement he was lying on his stomach during a lockdown drill when Rogers stepped on his back with both feet for about 10 seconds. The victim said he yelled out and began crying, adding that his entire back hurt and he thought he had broken his back. The complaint also says the victim didn't hear Rogers say anything prior to the assault and said he stepped on him like he was a stepping stool. Law enforcement spoke with the teacher the next day. The teacher told police he saw two students lying down during the drill and didn't feel the class was taking the drill seriously. He said he then put his foot on the victim and stepped on him. The complaint notes Rogers is at least 350 pounds.
There's your story.
Oh yeah, the kid was grasping
That
for
kid.
gasping
I hope
for air.
I hope that kid's all right.
The victim, a healthy sixth grade student. After police spoke with Rogers a second time, he admitted he, quote, might have stepped on the victim with both feet.
I'm not real sure.
Rogers also told law enforcement he stepped on two other students, one with both feet and the other while walking over him.
Did he volunteer that?
What's wrong with this caveman?
Yeah, he told the police that.
He's incriminating himself.
God
Anything
almighty.
else you'd like to tell us, dum-dum?
Rogers is currently on administrative leave from his position, according to a spokesperson for the Underwood School District. Rogers is due in court April 8th for a first appearance.
Now let me put this in perspective. Had my third grade teacher, Ann McNary, placed both feet on my back, I would have said, hey, little lower, that feels good, a little foot massage. But
Well,
had my
this wasn't-
sixth grade teacher done it, Greg Sawyer, I would have said, get the hell off.
This isn't Miss Landers. This guy's $3 bills.
Ann McNary was, she was advanced for
I'm
me.
glad for you.
For $1 million, Joe and or Matthew, where is Underwood, Minnesota?
Right by St. Cloud.
It's up by St.
About
Cloud.
20 minutes away.
I think I'm owed $2 million at this point. John,
Right
let's
by
split
St.
it
Cloud,
and get
isn't
out of
it?
here.
What is the town?
Underwood. That's right by St. Cloud.
That's north.
Well, Olmsted and Otter Tail are your two O counties. Otter Tail, it'd be over there by Woman Lake.
Wow.
No, that's not Otter Tail.
One serious note, going back to John's very first story, the weather today in St. Louis, rain.
Oh, really?
Showers likely, yeah.
That's a shame.
Former Minnesota.
Isn't that right outside of Fergus Falls, Joe?
Yeah.
Or not? I mean, a stone's throw.
Yeah.
A stone's throw.
Somebody has Google Maps.
Yeah, I got a quick computer.
Former Minnesota State Senator Justin Eichhorn left the federal courthouse in plainclothes yesterday. His exit from the St. Paul courthouse hours after a hearing in which the judge made two rulings that there is probable cause to move forward to trial, and Eichhorn is granted release from a jail to a halfway house in the meantime, as initially agreed upon. Eichhorn charged with attempted coercion or enticement of a minor to engage in prostitution. He was arrested in Bloomington last week on suspicion of soliciting sex from someone he thought was a 17-year-old girl. In reality, it was an undercover officer. The hearing followed allegations from prosecutors and court documents filed over the weekend that Eichhorn, in part, tried to obstruct the FBI's investigation from jail by arranging for someone to retrieve his laptop from his St. Paul apartment before it could be searched. After that court filing, the judge temporarily denied an earlier agreement to release Eichhorn to a halfway house, leading to the hearing yesterday. The defense yesterday revealed the person who communicated with Eichhorn about the laptop was his wife, who has filed for divorce. After 2 hours of testimony from an FBI special agent and debate over the interpretation of two phone calls between Eichhorn and his wife and the motive for retrieving the laptop, the judge concluded there was, in his words, a lot of gray area. It will remain that way until investigators are able to do a complete search of the laptop and its contents. Documents also say FBI agents found an iPhone that had recently been wiped of all of its information. Well, on the stand Wednesday, an FBI agent said the phone may have been reset in late February before he was arrested, but that date could change. In the end, prosecutors leaned on a handgun and ammunition found in Eichhorn's apartment as the primary reason to keep him in jail, saying he lied about it during a pretrial interview, and that alone makes him a flight risk and a public safety risk. The defense said it was just a misunderstanding and argued the conditions of GPS monitoring and the halfway house are enough to ensure public safety.
Are we to understand that his wife did interfere on his behalf and get the laptop?
No. What happened is she went to his apartment. The authorities were waiting at the apartment, waiting for a search warrant to be signed by the judge. They would not let her go into the apartment. That's what I read this morning.
See, because my puzzlement is, why would she help him when she couldn't wait to divorce him?
That was my point.
There was speculation in the article about that, and the speculation, and it's, it sounds like BS to me, is that they manage a bunch of apartment building rentals, and it could have been business related.
Well, I was going to say, how
probably
do you,
correct.
How do you
Yeah.
start up that conversation? Honey, I know we're getting divorced, and I just got busted for this horrible thing.
Yeah.
Can you do me a favor, though? Can you just run and grab the...
One last thing.
Right. One more thing,
Yeah.
Columbo.
One more thing. From next door, not related story, but kind of the same kind of story. A once powerful former North Dakota lawmaker sentenced yesterday to 10 years in prison, for traveling to Europe with the intent to pay for sex with a minor. Former State Senator Ray Holmberg's attorney, Mark Freese, confirmed the sentence to the Associated Press, but declined to comment after the hearing. The hearing yesterday included 7 hours of testimony, victim statements, and an apology from the shackled 81-year-old. Holmberg pleaded guilty last year in U.S. District Court in Fargo to one count of traveling with intent to engage in illicit sexual activity. Prosecutors say Holmberg traveled at least 14 times from 2011 to 2021 to Prague, Czech Republic, to pay for sex with adolescent-age boys. In court last year, Holmberg admitted to paying young male masseuses, some of whom he had sexual contact with at an alleged brothel. Holmberg was a powerful force in the North Dakota Senate, served 45 years. He resigned in 2022 after the Forum of Fargo-Moorhead had reported on his many text messages with a man in jail in connection with the child sexual abuse
Joe,
material.
are you like me and you feel like your life is pretty boring and people are doing all this stuff
I ain't
out there?
flying to Prague, I'll tell you that.
Well, I have a question about that. So this government of the United States, they can control where you go and for what purposes? It's illegal to do that? What if you never come back?
I don't know.
I don't understand that law.
You mean prior to a crime or after a crime?
You can't go to Prague to have sex with an underage person. It's against the law here.
Oh, that's off the list.
That's a good point. I don't understand that.
The crime is over there.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know. Wish I could help you. Go ahead, John. What's next?
Would it make a difference if you weren't a member of the legislature? I don't
Okay,
know.
I'm glad you brought that up because there's a certain creepy actor who has done that, and he's no longer in favor among the Hollywood elites for his weird sexual stuff, and part of it has been traveling to have sex with boys in other countries.
Who's
I know
that?
who you mean now. Yeah.
I'm not even going to go with allegedly.
Oh, yeah, I know
I'm just
you
not
mean,
even going
yeah.
to say who it is.
Yeah.
I won't either then.
It's Kevin Spacey.
Oh, whoops.
We're going to take a quick break. First, let me remind you, news is brought to you by North American Banking Company, but why don't we hear from our buddy, the rookie?
Bilski, thank you for that sponsorship, Bilski. I've got another great sponsor to Garage Logic. When it comes to keeping your plumbing and drains running smoothly, remember, uncloggdrains.com. If you've ever had to deal with this, with that main sewer line getting clogged up, it's not a do-it-yourself fixer-upper. It's get the professionals out there. They've got all the cameras out there. They've got all the cleaning equipment. They're going to unclog that drain. Sewer lines. They've got preventive maintenance to avoid costly backups. It's a lot of money if you get caught. Go to uncloggdrains.com. That's McDonough's. They've got sewer, drain, water jetting, vac trucks. They've got it all for you. And they do it at a very, very good price. From homes to businesses, they handle everything. Minor blockages, major drain issues, water jetting, video inspections, grease trap cleaning for commercial kitchens. You got to have that done. Plus the vac trucks, the huge wet dry vacuum trucks. that clean out the catch basins and those flammable waste traps, elevator pits, and a bunch more. You might not know what I'm talking about, but they sure as heck do at McDonough's. Uncloggeddrains.com. 24-hour service every single day. And what sets them apart is their expertise, honesty, and exceptional customer service, plus their advertising on Garage Logic. So please visit them. 651-436-3370. That's uncloggeddrains.com.
Hit it.
Latte schmate. Here's Joe Souchere.
In more news, by the way, this news is brought to you by North American Banking Company. National and international stuff car prices saw a dramatic upswing in the aftermath of the pandemic, and now experts are warning consumers to get ready for more price hikes spurred by a new tariff on auto imports. President Trump announcing yesterday that starting April 2nd, the U.S. will impose a 25% tariff on imported passenger vehicles, light trucks, and some auto parts. For imported cars protected by the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement, only the foreign parts that make up the vehicle will be subject to the tariff. All of this follows a temporary tariff exemption granted earlier this month at the behest of 3 large U.S. automakers. After the month-long reprieve, auto experts say higher prices are likely on the increase. Ivan Drury is director of insights at Automotive Research Edmunds. You're going to see price increases. It's such a shotgun approach. Virtually nothing will go unscathed. In a Wednesday sales forecast call, Cox Automotive chief economist Jonathan Smoke said massive increases in tariffs would be, in his words, highly disruptive to North American vehicle production. President Trump expressing anger that Judge James Boasberg will oversee a lawsuit against the president's administration for that accidental leak of defense secrets. Boasberg is the same judge who has threatened the Trump administration with contempt of court for refusing to release information about the deportation of suspected gang members to an El Salvador prison. In the early hours this morning, the president wrote on his social media site Truth Social that Boasberg should not handle the lawsuit, saying, "How disgraceful is it that Judge James Boasberg has been given a fourth Trump case, something which appears to be statistically impossible." As far as the material goes from that leak, a former U.S. military commander said the information shared would allow adversaries to evacuate targeted areas ranging from command and control centers to communication sites and firing positions. Moreover, he said it would allow them to mass anti-aircraft and anti-missile weapons to overwhelm U.S. pilots. The former commander said the bad part about that is, until the strike goes, it's absolutely classified because the lives of our pilots depend on secrecy. CIA Director John Ratcliffe, who was one of the participants in the group chat, acknowledged on Tuesday that pre-decisional strike deliberation should be conducted through classified channels. And the Republican chair of the Senate Armed Services Committee, Senator Roger Wicker, said he and Senator Jack Reed, the committee's top Democrat, will send a letter to the Trump administration requesting an expedited Inspector General investigation into the use of Signal. A federal appeals court in a 2-1 decision yesterday refused to lift the aforementioned Judge James Boasberg order blocking the Trump administration from swiftly deporting migrants under the Alien Enemies Act. Justice Department had urged the 3-judge panel on the U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit to immediately block Boasberg's order, casting it as an intrusion on the president's executive authority over national security. NATO today clarifying comments that Secretary General Mark Rutte made earlier in the day when he suggested that 4 U.S. soldiers who went missing while training in Lithuania had died, even though the U.S. Army said their fate had not yet been confirmed. NATO said in a statement on X, "Now the search is ongoing. We regret any confusion about the remarks delivered on this yesterday." The U.S. Army said the Hercules armored vehicle the 4 U.S. soldiers were in during a training exercise had been found submerged in a body of water. It said the recovery efforts were underway by U.S. Army and Lithuanian armed forces and civilian agencies. The soldiers were all from 1st Brigade, 3rd Infantry Division, conducting tactical training when they went missing.
Did you see where a tourist submarine sunk?
Yeah,
I
6
believe
people?
Egypt, I believe.
Oof.
I ain't going on no tourist submarine.
No, you wouldn't even go on the Disney one.
No, didn't like it.
No.
Disney one's not real. Right?
20,000 Leagues?
Yeah. Well.
I'm a man of the water. I just don't know how the submariners do it.
You respect the water.
I just don't know how they do it.
Can you imagine, seriously, being in one of those for, over a length of time as a member of the Navy?
No, I couldn't do it.
Be kind of cozy, I think.
Oh, you know what?
Airtight, you're like, hey, what's for dinner?
Yeah.
Good food on the subs.
I bet it is.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I didn't get my next story ready. Here we go. Supreme Court yesterday upheld regulations on ghost gun kits, or disassembled guns designed to be built at home. The 2022 rule treats dealers and manufacturers of the kits as subjects to the 1968 Gun Control Act, requiring them to place traceable serial numbers on kit parts, conduct background checks on potential buyers, and more. Law enforcement has recorded a steep rise in privately made firearms recovered at crime scenes since 2016, prompting the administration to regulate them. Gun rights advocates challenged the rule, arguing the kits are for hobbyists and do not meet the definition of a firearm as written in the 1968 Act. In his majority opinion, Justice Neil Gorsuch claimed the ease with which the kits are assembled, in many cases, less than 30 minutes, meets the Act's definition of a firearm. And according to the Palm Bay Police Department in Florida, officers called to the shopping center off Interchange Drive Northeast after a man had been trespassed and was no longer allowed to be in the area showed up dressed as a clown.
Huh.
Donning a bright yellow suit with white and red striped sleeves, the man easily could have been mistaken for McDonald's mascot. However, he had two characteristics that distinguished him from the popular clown.
Super large feet?
He had an unshaven face, and he had a patch on the front of his suit.
Where was the patch?
Well, where the patch with the normally fast food restaurants' golden arches would be, the man instead had a patch depicting a human skull.
Oh, thank God you said skull.
This could easily be Kenny.
You know, speaking of that costume, John, I was reading that the White House is thinking of selling Easter.
Really?
I did see that,
Yeah.
yes.
So, you know, the Easter bunny would have an STP patch on it or whatever.
Right.
And I've been calling this for years.
Yes, you have.
Where they're going to have Nike stuff, and the bunny will have a complete suit by Underall or
Energizer. Brought to you by Energizer.
Stop.
What do you got?
Tesla Easter.
Wow. And instead of an Easter egg hunt, it's going to be those mini Tesla pickup trucks or those silver things, and you got to go find as many as you can.
They rolled the rock back in 1880.
Don't forget, one of the biggest humble brags is coming up in the next couple of Sundays when John makes it to the tomb before Peter, and John in the gospel, 3-time brag says, I made it there faster than the other guy, and Jesus loved me. So watch for that. It's the first 3 humble brags in the gospel.
When does Peter, I can see your house from here, come up?
That's Good Friday, yeah. It's Good Friday.
Peter, come here. Come here.
Before that.
I can see your house from here.
Ooh.
Back to the clown just for a second.
Please.
His outfit was tied together with a red clown nose. A body cam video showed the suspect and officers getting into a scuffle as they tried to remove him from the property. They eventually put him on the ground, placed him in handcuffs. A search of his pockets turned up a weapon, which police tossed out of the suspect's reach. When you look like a clown, one officer says to him on the video as he's placed in the car. He looks at the officer and responds, I am a clown, stupid.
Wow.
John, the story has a mighty big hole in it.
What's that?
Well, you said that this fellow was not to be on that property in the first place.
He had been trespassed out of there already, yes.
Right.
And so he thought the way back in was to be a clown.
Well, maybe he thought they wouldn't recognize him.
I see.
Right, dressed as a clown that wouldn't draw any attention to him at all.
Are you, in fact, just reading a script from Reno 911? Because this sounds like Reno 911.
Well, you know who it brought to my mind? Because in the next sentence here it says they searched the man and he had a pack of cigarettes, a box full of clown noses.
Sounds like our guy.
Yeah, it sounds
Box
like
the Clown.
Box the Clown. That's
Yeah.
My first thought when I read it.
Yeah.
Probably
Hey, kids, don't be like me. Go to
Right.
school.
Hey, and he had the kid hold the cigarette and the paper bag of hooch.
The police
At the fair.
department.
Is Box the Clown now a mayor of a certain town?
I don't think so. I
Boy, I
like the
sure hope
same
not.
guy?
That would really be bad for that
It'd
town.
be a bad deal.
Right.
It's not
Somebody's
the same
not checking
guy.
old YouTube tapes.
God forbid if you live in that town.
Oh,
Yeah, even worse. Wow. Well, property taxes did go down this year. So.
Everyone has a right to feel safe in public spaces, the police department said in answer to the clown's arrest.
John, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I want to tell you about you got to have this number
Please do.
in your contacts for Precision Door. The emails keep coming in about what great and prompt service is provided by Precision Door MN. They serve Western Wisconsin. I'm talking garage doors, if you please.
Word.
They cover Western Wisconsin, the entire metro. We had a time record yesterday. An emailer said he called at 2:06.
Yeah,
or 2:03,
6 minutes, boom, they were there.
2:03, and they were there at 2:09.
Yep.
I can't always tell you they'll be that good. That's hard.
Sometimes it works out.
That's a miracle. Precision Door MN. They have, if you need a new door, they have models for every budget. They'll send a designer out. That's free of charge, of course. If you buy a new door, they're throwing in a $760 motor for that new garage door. Put this number into your telephone contacts. You'll need it sooner or later. 612-263-6985. Or if you want to go on the interwebs to book your free on-site new door estimate or just to book an appointment, go to Precision Door MN. That's one word, precisiondoormn.com.
82, I was 17, my old man was 55. If you do the math between the two of us, that's 72 years of life. An eternity, so it seemed to me. How could anything live that long? Now I say my folks were only 84 the year that they passed on. For a little while it seems you got time to choose your dreams. Pretty soon you look around and you see 100 years ain't what it used to be. And my grandpa Roy, when he was a boy in 1904, he was taught by men who fought in the actual Civil War. And only 8 decades passed, and my high school class put the tassels on the other side. Started on our way full of naivete on the great American ride. The months and years slide past, each more quickly than the last. Pretty soon you look around and you'll see 100 years ain't what it used to be. Oh, got it!
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, Johnny Heidt.
The earth is not your mother. The Joe Souchere Show.
Oh, there's the one that didn't work. Oh, it still worked. All right.
Yes. Now here's Joe Souchere.
Say the state employees required to come back to work are really grousing about that.
They don't like
They
that.
are not happy.
You don't want to poke the beehive.
Let the record show I am on their side. There is no reason for them to go
Okay,
back
Mr.
into
Large Commute. Long commute.
I'm not. I'm not on their side. How entitled can you be? I mean, what?
Well, look at the two up here on the screen.
I guess. Well, that's
Case in
true.
point.
They're worried about, I guess, daycare and things like that. Well, you should have been planning for that.
Right. You've been, well,
I have no sympathy for them. I mean, I do. I'm sorry you have to return to work, but join the rest of us. There's no reason. Well, not for except for John.
Nice protest, John.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Why don't you show up here tomorrow for a change and put your money where your mouth is?
He will to get
I'll
that
be there
syrup.
tomorrow. I'll be there tomorrow.
He's coming in here to get a bottle of syrup.
Well, that's how good the syrup is.
I find it ironic that these people are worried about childcare. What am I supposed to do when I go back to work? Meanwhile, all I do is babysit grown adults all day long.
Whoa, adult daycare.
He gave himself the rim shot.
There it is. Huh?
Who gave him a microphone?
Yeah.
Your coming back to work is probably too little, too late. I don't think coming back to work can save St. Paul, for example.
No.
Minneapolis is hanging on by a thread. It's a shame, but if you live 75 miles away, you're covered. You don't have to come back.
Stay home. Yeah. Stay home. You're good.
You're fine.
We don't need
Which
to see
is the weirdest caveat I've ever seen.
And then I got an email from a guy who said, and if I change jobs to another state, the wife can keep her state job and work from that state. They got a nice deal.
Yeah, that's a match made in
I
heaven.
think he meant an adjoining state.
Okay.
So Wisconsin, North and South Dakota, Iowa, and the wife could go with them, and she could continue her. I would imagine she doesn't have a job in which she deals with the public in a face-to-face.
Right, like a DMV
basis.
or something like that.
That's
But
right, Matt.
If you live by Lake Como, you've got to hustle your ass into work.
Right.
And they're bitching about it.
All 2.5 miles.
You could walk and
Oh,
get there in
2.5,
10
right.
minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
Only because they come to us.
Wow, I'm going to make my 2 o'clock meeting.
Seems a little early for this. I don't know.
No, let's go.
That's all I want to
Whatever.
say.
I mean, if you're out of material, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not
I
prepared
think
to bring
he was
up.
halfway through the show.
I'm not prepared to bring up what could very well be very earth-shattering material.
This is a 2-part piece, Joe.
And I have to read it tonight, and we'll talk about it tomorrow.
I'm printing it out so we can read it. It's really, really good.
Wow.
Oh, whoops.
How do I get the first part?
There's a link in the first paragraph of the second part. It says Part 1. Click on that, and
And
Part
then
1
put
will
in
come
your
up.
home address and your email address at home, and then you'll have access to it.
Credit card number.
Right.
Let's tell everybody, though, it's from Breitbart, and the headline is Exposed, the CCP's United Front Hub in America's Heartland. It's a two-parter.
Right on Eustis Street in St. Paul. More on that to follow tomorrow, but we all need to do some homework about it.
Yes.
Only because they come to us all the way from Marloth Park in Mpumalanga province, South Africa. It's on this day in history. It was on this day.
March 27, Mr. Mayor.
In 1819, President James Monroe appointed Lawrence Taliaferro, Indian agent at St. Peter's, later called Mendota. Taliaferro moved his operations across the river to Fort St. Anthony, later Fort Snelling, when that post opened. It was on this day.
The day that precedes March 28th, Mr. Mayor.
Wow.
I have to hear March 27th.
Oh,
No, Ross,
No, we
that's-
thought we had it.
don't be
Thought we
creative.
had it. We thought we had it.
What day is this?
Today would be the 27th day of March.
That's all we need.
1905. The aerial bridge spanning the Duluth Ship Canal carried its first passengers across the harbor inside a carriage suspended from the bridge's framework. The system was replaced by a lift bridge in 1930.
Did not know that.
And finally, on this day,
March 27th, the year of our Lord, 2025.
in 1912, the St. Olaf Choir, directed by F. Melius Christensen, gave the opening concert of its first tour at the First Baptist Church in Minneapolis.
That's fun.
That's a very famous choir to this day. Mm-hmm. And on this day,
Oh, I was not prepared for 4. Kenny's going to have to save me.
Today's date is March 27th, 2025.
Thanks, KO.
on this day in Minnesota sports disappointment history, in 1991, the entire Gopher men's athletic department was put on probation for 2 years.
Double secret probation.
That's it. And only now are shaking off the cobwebs of that spell.
By the way, earlier in the show, enjoy Minnesota Twins games on Xfinity HD channel 1261. It just came over my email.
There you go.
1261?
Yes, HD.
Oh, let me write that down.
Yep, 1261.
Refresh my memory. Why the suspension? I think I remember. I'm not sure.
What are you talking about? The bridge in Duluth?
No,
No,
Gophers.
the Gophers.
Oh, a cheating in the basketball program.
Okay.
And
That was with Clem Hashkin.
What was different about that one from 97?
same thing.
Same thing.
Yeah, it's cheating. The fellas weren't attending class, and it was
They were
all,
calling it in.
Yeah, they were calling it.
Well, are they? Come on. Do we really expect them to show up for?
No, I want to be better cheaters, like all the other teams. I want to be better cheaters.
There's no sweetheart left in the Sweet 16. They're all power teams in the Sweet 16. There's no little unlikely school that prevailed to get to the Sweet 16 that
A little
starts
Jesuit
today.
school or something like that that's off the radar.
I got nobody to root for.
Yeah.
Oh, back in my day.
Yeah.
What happened to your Eagles?
What about the little underdog of John Calipari at Arkansas? 10 seeded.
And they're alive.
Yes, they are.
Right. I don't root for John Calipari.
Yeah, neither do I. That's why I like it.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, GLers.
Word.
To your mother.
GLers, don't forget about that golf passport card. The 2025 Minnesota Golf Passport Card is on sale right now. What does that get you? Well, good question. As a card holder, you'll get 13 courses for just 99 American dollars. That's a $450 value. Play courses like the Elk River Country Club, Birchwood Golf Course, Gopher Hills, Lake Pepin Golf Course, Bull Rush, Whispering Pines, and more. 13 great courses, 13 rounds of golf, just $99. Supply is limited. Go to garagelogic.com, search the keyword passport, and do not forget to get your town council membership, because we may end up reading you as a GLer of the week which we will do tomorrow. And thanks to Masters Maples, guess what? You'll get a nice little $50 gift pack as well.
It's worth it.
That's all I got for you. What about you, Rookie?
I got nothing for you but a nice big show-ending Thursday cha.
Peace out, Girl Scouts.